Hi, Namaskaram. I'll be continuing my talk on valuation metrics. Valuation metrics. In the last session, I discussed about two valuation metrics, namely alpha and R square or R square test. Today, there are four or five valuation metrics that are used. That are widely used in analyzing a fund, analyzing a mutual fund. Today, I'll be talking about two more parameters, namely standard deviation and Sharp's index number. All these parameters would help you in choosing a good fund. Today I'll start with standard deviation. Standard deviation is a popular term, as you can find out from the name deviation. It measures the gap between the actual performance and the expected performance. Let me give an example for you to understand standard deviation. Let's take a cricket match. A player scoring at 50 runs per innings. That is taken as expected return. Expectation from expected value, or expected score from that particular batsman. There is a series. He goes for goes on a overseas tour. He scores. He perform in. Somehow his performance were below the expected value. Some of the performance were expected were above the expected value, that is 50 runs. Standard deviation as a formula, it calculates the gap between the actual values and actual performance and the expected performance. It is a mathematical formula for standard deviation. It is found. It was found that standard deviation was for this particular batsman is 10%. What does it mean is he has scored runs between 45 and 55. It defines two limits for the two limits, range, range for the batsman's performance. 10% on 50 is 5 runs. So deduct 5 from 50, you get 45. Same way, upper limit, define the upper limit, you get 55. So batsman has scored between 45 and 55. Reasonable, it is very good. So standard deviation. So let us take another example to understand standard. To understand this concept. Say now. The same batsman has a standard deviation of 20%. What does it mean? He has scored runs. Lower limit is 40, upper limit is 60. So one can say that one can say that a batsman with the standard deviation, in this case, batsman with the standard deviation of 20%. May not achieve his expected may not achieve his expected average of 50 all the times. There is a possibility that he would score less than 50 runs. At the same time, there is a possibility he would score more than 50 runs. So this is the way to interpret standard deviation. It is always preferable to have a low standard deviation. Does not mean high standard deviation is bad. High standard deviation has got less as a high risk factor. Say for instance, 50. You have a standard deviation of 50%. Take this example for this batsman whose average is 50. um, he can go wrong. If he goes wrong, if he fails, what is 50% of 50 is 25 runs. He'll be scoring only 25 runs. Other side, if he succeeds, there is a possibility he might score. He might score, what is it? 50% on 50 is 75 runs. So his scores falls between two levels, 25 and 75. So as a selector, cricket is a team game. So I don't want all my batsmen performing all the time. See, I need batsman who plays well in Perth, I need somebody who scores 80 on a fast wicket in Perth, where other batsmen fail. There's a case. Where a particular batsman scores bats well in Perth, where others fail. I would still have this batsman who scores 25 most of the times, but averages high in under tough conditions. So this means it's nothing bad, good or bad about standard deviation. Still, you ideally would like to have a number that is very low, which means the actual performance is very close to the expected performance. Similarly, mutual funds standard deviation is very critical. Uh, for mutual funds basically tracks his performance with respect to the benchmark index. So a mutual fund performance is evaluated with the benchmark is seen as the expected return or the market return. Mutual fund performance mapped with that benchmark expected return, and the standard deviation is found out. So you should look out for this number. As I said, a low standard deviation is preferable. At the same time, a high standard deviation does not mean that the fund will not generate profit. It means that it carries high risk. As I told you, as I explained with example, with a cricket example analogy. So you would have a VVS Lakshman in Calcutta, or somebody who plays well, under tough in tough conditions, but fails miserably in good conditions. No, I'm not talking about VVS Lakshman. You can take any batsman. You have this. You have specific batsmen. Who play well in fast tracks, but fail miserably on turning tracks. So let me not get into cricket. See, I think you understood the concept of standard deviation. Second parameter I'll be discussing today is Sharp's index. Sharp's index, which is very critical in assessing the risk, in analyzing the risk present in the mutual fund. The risk present in the mutual fund that could prevent the fund from achieving its expected return. Sharp's index number for formulas. I don't get too technical. Still, I just want to share the formula. It measure. It is the numerator part is market return, difference between market return and risk-free return, divided by standard deviation. What does it give us? It gives you a number that gives you a return that is risk adjusted, which means that expected return was calculated by factoring in all factoring in possible risks that could prevent the fund from achieving its expected return. So let me give an example. I mean, cricket example. You have a batsman who plays well in subcontinent conditions, where the ball, I mean, what is it, does not bounce. He goes to Australia when he has to face some quicks in Perth, and he has a technical weakness. He cannot play the pull or the hook. He gets out. He gets out. What is it? He gets out to short balls. So, here the analogy with mutual funds is. Oh God, I forgot what to say. Fine. Talking about the risk factor in the mutual fund shops index. Fine. I mean, cricket analogy says that there is a technical weakness. This technical weakness is a risk factor in preventing that prevents the batsman from scoring runs on a fast wicket. Similarly, Sharpe's index measures the risk factor that would prevent the fund from achieving its expected return. So Sharpe's, I mean, I think we have idea about Sharpe's index. What is, I mean, it basically say the possibilities of generating a higher return than the risk-free return. Risk-free return, we can think of it as the expected return, minimum expected return. In worst case. So Sharpe's index measures the risk of achieving returns, achieving excess returns over the risk-free return. Say, for instance, risk-free return is your FD 6%. What is the possibility of generating 10% return? 10% return in your mutual fund. What does Sharpe's index do is finds out the risk factor that could possibly prevent the fund from achieving this 10%, and it also says that how much. It also says also Sharpe's index also talks about the excess returns over the risk-free investment. That is very important. Very important. Say, for instance, as an investor, I have an opportunity to invest in FD or in mutual fund. FD gives me a return of 6%. Some mutual fund is expected to deliver a return of 10%. So though I know there is a risk involved in investing, I would expect investor is expected. As an investor, I would expect at least minimum 6%. It makes sense. Because 6% risk free, FD moment 99% of the time they deliver their committed, they deliver the returns, promised returns. So mutual funds have to ensure that their returns generated is at least the risk free return, or anything above is good. So Sharpe's index give you an idea whether the funds can generate. It gives you an idea of the risk factor that can prevent the fund from generating the minimum, generating the risk-free return. It is 6%. So it has. I mean, I think I don't think I made a good. I mean, I given a good explanation. But tried my best. Probably, if you have doubts, please key it in. Probably you'll have another YouTube session. Say there are ideal numbers for Sharpe's index number. Higher the number, it indicates the fund is very good. Anything below 0.5, Sharpe index number between 0.5, anything about 2 is considered excellent. Up to 7 is considered. Over 7 probably risk is very high. So Sharpe's index number. One could if it is in the case of negative values. We have a case where Sharpe index number is negative. It means that the funds, the return will be lesser than your risk-free return. In that case, it is better not to invest. So, in the main conditions, explain the conditions. It gives you an idea. Gives you the number. The Sharpe index number gives you helps you. Gives you an idea. Sorry, I want to rephrase it. One can take a decision whether to invest or not from Sharpe index number. A negative Sharpe index number, you can easily say you can avoid investment in mutual fund. It's better to go for the first option, FD, which gives you a risk-free return. Negative Sharpe index number says that the returns will be lower than your risk-free returns. A positive number is good. It says that returns will be higher than the risk-free returns. That is your FD or the minimum return. One can say assured return that one can get by investing in other money market instrument. In FDs, RDs, post office, anything. Money market in other money market instruments. So this is about Sharpe's index. So always to look for a fund with positive Sharpe index, Sharpe index number. Negative, forget it. It says that you should invest somewhere else. Other thing, profitability. Positive. This positive Sharpe index number. Funds with positive index number may not. May not give you the may not give you the desired return. Sorry, let me rephrase it. A positive Sharpe index number does not always mean high profitability. Say it has to be compared with its peers, peer mutual funds, to understand the profitability. Say I have a fund, similar when I have a fund, equity fund, which generates a profit of which has a high Sharpe index number and generates a return of 10%. There's another fund, peer fund, with the same, more or less same portfolio, which generates a return of 20% with a higher Sharpe index number. So ideally, I would choose the second fund. So it has to be Sharpe index number on the degree of profitability depends. It depends on the benchmark funds. In the sense, you should compare the Sharpe's index value with with similar funds that are in the market. Then you'll come to understand whether the fund you are investing actually is projecting the right value. Sorry, this is about Sharp's index number. To sum it up, today's session I have discussed two parameters: standard deviation and Sharp's index number. Standard deviation measures the gap between the actuals and the expected levels, actuals and the average and the average. Lows low standard deviation is preferable as values as you will have performance very close to the average. High standard deviation is associated with high risk funds, probably equities, where the chances of producing high and low returns. High and low returns. So nothing good or bad about a number. It all depends on your risk appetite. Second is a Sharp's index number, which measures the risk of generating profit, risk of generating return over the risk-free return. A negative number says that investment says that it's a bad investment, which means that the fund's return will fall below the risk-free return that you'll get it from other sources, which are assured. So it basically says that no, you should say no to the investment. Again, positive Sharp index has to be compared with peer funds to understand the right profit. So this is about it. I think it will be useful for you. Please key in your doubts. I'll try to answer them in my YouTube session. There are a lot of materials in the web you can go through. Probably you can build your analysis from them. Thank you. Nandri Vanakkam.